Hello, this is John at the SEC with the newest magic show. Tonight I'm joined by Ziptie, who is going to magically break out of the zip tie.
Thank you, John. Now you see here I'm tied up in these zip ties. Most people would not be able to get out of here, but I, Ziptie, I will. Everyone, what are zip ties? Zip ties were invented.
Hey, I'm Charlie D, Zippie's assistant. Let me lay you in on a little secret. He's not actually doing magic. We plan to break him out using material properties, which will not be able to be seen by the audience, only by us, and we'll find which is the easiest to break. Let's go back a few hours. Our first plan of action is to simply stretch the handcuffs normally to see if they will break. Soren's a strong dude. I've got faith in him. I don't know if it'll happen, but there'll be more plans to come. Our second course of action, now I like this one. This involves the hammer. I will be hammering Soren's zip tie until it deforms a lot, and then maybe we can break him out of it. Our third plan of action is to bend the zip tie repeatedly until it is so deformed that we can break Soren out of it. And lastly, we will be twisting the zip ties to see if that makes any difference in allowing our man Soren to escape. Hammering increases the amount of dislocations in a material and can actually increase the material's hardness. As the hammering continued, we could visibly see microscopic external and internal cracks and lines forming in the zip tie. To bend the material, we approached it first by hand, then with the clamp to attain an even higher amount of force. As the bending continued, the material became more shiny, which is indicative in a change of light refraction. The act of bending the zip tie repeatedly should theoretically increase its hardness, in part making it more brittle. To twist the material, a clamp was used to obtain an optimal amount of torque. This torsion, like the other two methods, can also be used to increase dislocations. We also noticed the zip tie becoming more shiny during this procedure. Now it's time to test.
We decided to use the Instron machine to figure out which type of deformation would cause the zip ties to break at the lowest force. We closed all the zip ties, making sure we zip them to the same length. As you can see in this first video, some of the zip ties broke along the zip tie clip, like that. That happened for our normal test and for our torsion test. And then for the hammer test and bending test, the zip tie broke along the body, as you can see here. The control and torsion zip ties broke at higher forces of 0.66 and 0.67 kilonewtons respectively. And then, for the bending and hammer zip ties, they broke at lower forces of 0.55 and 0.6 kilonewtons respectively.
Okay, let's look what's happening on a molecular level here. Alright, so we have the zip tie, which is made of nylon, which is a polymer. And polymers have these bonds called cross-links, which are represented by these little dots here. Essentially what cross-links are is they're these bonds that hold polymers together. For the normal zip tie, which had no deformation on it, it broke along the clip of the zip tie, which tells you that the body itself was pretty strong. However, here, when we deformed the body, it broke on the body and not the clip, which tells you that the deformation and breaking those cross-links definitely weakened the body of the zip tie, which is why it broke along the body.
For the sample that we deformed using bending, as you can see here in this diagram, the deformations occurred across the whole width of the zip tie. As a result, the zip tie was weakened because the polymer strands go this way, whereas the deformations occur across.
Torsion occurs when there's high amounts of strain on the sides. As a result, once we twist it, strain is going to increase and cause it to fail easier. As a result, in this scenario, because strain was only caused on the sides, it turned out to be the highest amount of strength out of all the exams we did. This shows generally how material comes to fail. It shows how crack keeps expanding through each direction and shows how each example, torsion, bending, and hammering, went from small fissures to larger fissures, which caused the material to fail.
For this magic show, we've decided to bend Soren's zip ties. As you can see from the experiments, they break at roughly 550 newtons of force after being bent.
Good news
and
is,
Soren,
I pull at 600 newtons.
he pulls at 600, he's a strong dude. Buy tickets to the show.